Live. So today, this is my first ever video interview for the channel. This is with Lewis from Thermite Burns. It is Lewis, correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I didn't know if you had like a Julia Louis Dreyfus thing going on or not. Uh,
Nope.
so this is someone that sent a comment to my last video stating that I should probably check out his stuff for because it is a little bit off the beaten path, and I did so and listened to it for a couple days straight now, and I got fully immersed in the world of the project and figured it would be a good opportunity to have him on the show, given that this is a new sound, at least to my ears. I do think that it warrants an audience, so wanted to see if you wanted to talk a bit about the project. So I'll start off by asking, what is your mission statement with the music?
I don't know.
Okay.
Uh, it's just getting stuff out, pretty much. I mean, what is it? I want to say way back, like early 2000s. I tried doing a similar thing. Of course, half of the technology wasn't there to actually do it right. That, and then got a few people, started trying to mess around with the band, and got sidetracked with partying and everything else. Um, and then stopped playing guitar, went enlisted, stopped playing guitar, got injured, thought I would never play guitar again. And then I was teaching my daughter how to play. And I was like, oh, cool, I can kind of do this. I remember doing this. And then that just kind of kicked it off. And I've been doing stuff straight for 2, 3 years.
Okay. The reason I ask is because there is a pretty consistent vibe amongst the three records. Obviously, there is an evolution there, a very notable one. And I think the most recent release, Mutilation in Repose, is the most the purest version of the sound and the most well crafted and honed. But it is consistent throughout, aside from a little bit of levity in the Christopher Walken track, which I'm a big fan of the actor, and it was fun to pinpoint where all the quotes came from. I think I knew all of them, but for the most part, aside from that, it's a very audibly gross endeavor, and the goal of it for me, not to put words in your mouth, but I felt a consistent state of unease. That I think that what you are able to conjure is a lot of what the Dissidef musical sphere is trying to do and failing at. There's a lot more of a kinetic momentum to what you're doing, but I think a lot of what is making me feel uneasy is the way the tapestry of sound happens through the use of the program drums and what to me sounds like MIDI bass. Is it MIDI bass that I'm hearing? Okay.
Yes,
The
it is.
fact that because the dynamics are taken out of the bass, and because the bass has the same attack to it for every single note, and then there's this organic guitar over the top of it that has a consistent harmony, which I was wrong about the interval on. But because you have this clashing of the organic and the processed sound, there's a built-in unease to that feeling, and then when you tie it into the the imagery of the artwork and the melodic choices, it's just a very unique sound. So to me, I know you're coming across that it's just what you have created, but it sounds like it's targeted. It sounds like you have an idea in mind that there's an idea that hasn't been expressed yet that you wanted to get your feet wet in. So was the sound accidental, or did you come across this in a way where you were like, I have an image in my head of how I want this project to sound, and it ended up coming out the way you wanted?
Um, I would have to say maybe a 50-50. So, like, starting from the first one, you have just like, I'm trying to learn all the recording stuff. I'm learning everything. Like, nothing even got even half-assed mastered until this latest release. Um, and it was okay, cool. Let me figure out the drums. And the drums on the first one are questionable. Um, but having no experience with drums or anything else, just okay, this sounds kind of cool. This sounds kind of cool. And I don't know, to me, I like it where it feels more authentic, where it's like I understand that it should be this way, it should be that way. But when you stray just a little bit off it, it gives it its own little flavor. But no, it's just whatever decides to come out when I sit down and start messing around with the guitar, and then the drums get put on after, the bass goes on. Uh, with this last one, actually, I started learning drums, so they're a little bit better, like technique or what, not technique, but how they're programmed. So it actually seems like it would actually be in some cases, oh, maybe a drummer did help out with that or give some ideas. Um, I was I went and I played with the drummer a few times, and most musicians being musicians and artists, it fell through. Uh, and to be honest, when I was playing with them, so the guy I was playing with has more of like a punk ska background. He can play fast, I know he can, but I found that it was more my playing went and accommodated his drumming instead of the drumming accommodating the playing. So overall, it was okay. Let me see. I went and I bought a kit, bought everything, and I started learning. I was like, if I'm going to do it, I'm just going to do it myself. Which halfway through, I figured out I've got a bum arm, so I can't actually do half of the stuff with the drums that I wanted to do. So the programming goes, and at this point, I think it's sounds the way that I want it to sound, but it's just I strayed way off of the question, I think, but pretty much it's just all three releases are whatever's in there that wants to get out, it's getting out, and it's just how knowledgeable am I at that given time to make it sound correct for the entire picture of it.
Okay. And what you had said about the drums and the bass coming in later on, the way this music comes across to me is the interplay between the instruments feels to me as if the drums and the bass were recorded and written first, and then the guitar is kind of doing like this free flowing state of mind thing over the top. But because of the consistent harmony, it it feels like it has so much purpose to it. But if you focus on the rhythm, it's very rare that it actually lines in lockstep with what the guitars are doing. And the way the bass is clashing with how it changes with the guitar, there's never a point in the music where I feel like I have stable footing, and that consistent harmony where it is just so rigid because you're using the ABY pedal as you described. Because the harmony is so rigid, it feels unnerving in a really good way. And that I was consistently engaged with, especially the most recent record. But talking about the all three of them, your voice, your musical voice, definitely evolves throughout all three of them. The first one has a little bit more of a leaning on some acoustic guitar that at this point in the game I don't feel would make sense in your arrangements because it's way more organic than what the project has now become. And I really like where you're at right now. Where what you're doing right now, that is your sound. That harmony that is consistent with the MIDI bass is your sound. And I think that if you were to record a bass guitar track organically, the effect wouldn't be nearly as powerful. And I'm one that wants to usually hear an organic approach in a musical project, but this felt so alien in a way that like a lot of the older bands that were more on the cutting edge of progressive aspects in death metal were. And I think it's a very welcome change to what you're hearing in like the clinically snap to a grid modern metal takes that you're going to hear everywhere. But Can you tell us a little bit about your influences? I have some ideas, but I don't want to guess.
Um, Influences, biggest ones, naming two, all the way back would be Morbid Angel and probably Iced Earth up to mid 2000s.
Okay, okay. I am surprised to hear Iced Earth because they're like musically they're pretty tame as far
Yeah.
as like a power prog type of band. Morbid Angel, of course, it's hard to be a death metal fan and not at least appreciate what they've done. And I definitely hear that. I hear the Trey aspects in the free nature of the guitar, but maybe it is less free than I believe, based on what you're saying about how the songs are written, about how it is written guitar first. So, can you walk us through a little bit of your procedure for writing a song?
Yeah. So it'll start off, always starts with the riff. And then I'll fuck around with the riff for maybe 20, 30 minutes. That riff will go into variations, and then I'll find what I like. And it turns into almost a flow of consciousness. So if you want to see it that way, of okay, this is here. Let me hurry up and record this part. Okay, I got that part recorded, and then mess around some more, and it's okay. This is going here. Record that part. Okay, this is going here. Record that part. Okay, I got parts. How am I going to put it together? And so the parts are generally recorded in lengths and segments. There is a start stop to everything that I can piece things together relatively well. And it goes from there. And then the drums are actually the only thing that actually would be rigid, because on the programming side of it, it has to go on the grid. So I kind of like where it kind of gives that feel of, it's like, okay, that was just off, or that was a little too early, or it maybe a little bit more human error approach to uh the drums. Because like lately I've been noticing the drums are like the biggest part on everything that I'm hearing, and they're always perfect. They're always bam, to where I'll leave mistakes in. I'll leave like, oh, that was a good track. That was a good one. That was a good one. Okay, cool. And then 2 weeks later, I'll be listening to it, and it's, fuck, where did that come from? I didn't even notice that. And it's like, you know what? It's too late now. I already got it the way that I like it. Like, so, um, yeah, guitars get written out first. I have done drums first one or two times. On the second release, Gestational Devourment was drums first. And then that one was, I might be a little too simple to follow these along, so I just went and did something. But or if you go with airing of grievances, that's one of the acoustic. It's meant to be a pair with aspects of purity. So while you can listen to one or the other, if you listen to both, they actually do carry a similar major major melodic motif going into each other.
Yep, you can hear
And
that.
and like with that one, actually the soloing guitar portions were recorded without even listening to the rhythm parts. And then I just said, I like it. Let me see where it lines up. Lined it up, lines up pretty good. I kind of do like the random aspect of things too. Like if it's meant to be. So if it wouldn't have lined up, I probably would have gone and done it again, gone and done it again. And then if it continued to have not have lined up, I probably would have turned on the audio and I would have played to the rhythm tracks. But I think it has a different feel when I don't know if it's noticeable to the listener if those parts are random compared to the rhythm backing portion of the track. But I feel like it would have been a lot more different if I would have just been listening in my ear and trying to match and trying to, okay, there's a change coming up here, I got to do this, or there's a change coming up here, I got to do this.
Yeah, and I think that chaos of the project really lends itself to the overall vibe that you have going on. I myself, there was parallels I was immediately drawing between you and I. I also have a one man project that has three releases that came out relatively quickly, as yours did. I think yours you started in late 2024. Is that correct?
I believe so. I think so. It's 26 now. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think so.
quite a bit of material in that amount of time. And I too have program drums. And I am trying to get away from that snap to the grid feeling, that clinical feeling you get from all modern metal. And I'm deliberately slowing drums down, having just a few beats in the phrase be a little bit slower or faster, just to try to not to necessarily mimic the human approach of live recording, but just to have another layer of immediacy or a little bit of retreat. Whatever you're trying to get across in your musical ideas can also be enhanced by whether or not you want to speed up or slow down. But because of how most metal is created nowadays, that's not something that's often considered. And hearing that it's going on in your music was also a refreshing take. And I think that overall you just have a very exciting and new sound. And I don't want to frame this as if I just need to hear a new sound. The idea of new doesn't necessarily make it good. Like I can go into the kitchen and take a shit on the floor. That's a new experience. Like you're not supposed to do that in the kitchen, but this is actually like very artist forward music. Like as much as what you are describing sounds like it kind of often gets stumbled onto what works the most for you. There's a direction that can't be ignored with your approach, and I'm excited to see where it goes from here. So, are you already working on a follow up?
Oh, I've got it finished just about. So there's 7 new songs. I have to track like 3 solos and do mastering. And then I got to scrounge up money for artwork. I'm thinking like June it should be out, something like that.
Oh, nice. That's right around the corner. I'm excited for that. Speaking of the artwork, uh, the the most recent one definitely brought to mind pieces of art like She Lay Gutted from Disgorge. Very visceral image that I definitely think uh, lends itself to where the music headed from the previous two releases. Who made that art for you?
I can't even remember his name. Let me see if I can look it up really quick. Um,
It's a huge contrast with the other record covers. And I know you used a few generated images for your singles beforehand. And
yeah,
this
because
is
I couldn't even think about the amount of money it would cost right there to go and
right.
do it. So on Instagram, it's confusing. Naufalwy with an
Okay.
underscore. It's kid from Indonesia.
Okay. Yeah, it looks great. It definitely brings to mind those early 2000s unique leader records, but it does not sound or feel like that. And I think that's very welcome. But at the same time, the music has this like festering quality to it because of that harmony all the way through it. And how it's just continuously undulating over the bass and the drums. I think that if you were to not use the harmony the way you did, like if you were to play the guitar in a fourth down as opposed to having it be an ABY. I'll let you explain this in a bit. It to me would not have the character it does. Like to me, like if you were to watch like an old Evil Dead movie, whenever like someone is possessed speaks and there's the two voices coming out
Yeah.
at the same time where it's the harmony is in the single voice and it's not multi-tracked but it's processed. That's what's happening with the guitar. And I know you had some notes in your first two records in on Bandcamp about how you started developing that sound. It was kind of a bit of a rebellion against someone asking you to have more than one guitar on your release. what made you decide, well, fuck it, instead of just doubling up, I'm going to just have it be this sound? And what made you decide to have it be the way you did it with the ABY pedal?
Um, Honestly, the ABY pedal's been there since Forcing Starlight, and on that one, you can't hear as much of a difference, even though it is there. Wait. No. I'm sorry. So Forcing Starlight was done with two separate tracks separately, and one would be done on the line 6 in the cabinet through microphones, and the other would be done with a an emulator on the DAW.
Okay.
So that one, but there where I had it was a constant. You had one guitar in D standard and the other one was a baritone in B standard. So that one, there was no getting around anything. And I'm gonna try and make myself not feel as shitty by saying if for efficiency's sake, but ultimately I don't want to record a million fucking guitars, especially when I can barely remember what I'm doing at the time of doing it. So given what I know about why guitars get multi-tracked, all you're really looking for is that slight difference in audio input or frequency, because that's going to make a slightly different sound. So now it's not going to cancel itself out. It works the same way as noise canceling, like on your headphones or in your car. There's like in cars, when you have, or they used to have noise canceling features, there's actually a microphone and a speaker, and the microphone picks up what the outside noise is, and it actually plays the mirror of that sound wave, and they cancel each other out. So it's a similar idea. So what I did, I've got two amps running. I've got a line 6 and a Hughes and Kettner, and then I've got two different cabs. Each cab has two different speakers in it. And with that, I'm recording one different microphone on each speaker. So technically I have four different guitar signals, wavelength wise, being recorded. So I can get it. Is it quite as good as quad tracking? No, it's not. But it's better than if I just hit copy paste on the track and pulled it down, and
Yeah.
then it's got more dynamic to it. So with doing that one, it was okay, cool. So now how do I do it if I'm trying to get that different tuning still? Okay, cool. I'll go get a drop pedal. I'll drop the pitch. I'll I will electronically change the tuning on the guitar, and we'll go with that. And I was messing around with it, and I came over to the fourth. I was like, oh, that sounds pretty cool. And I can turn it off whenever I want. So if I wanted to, I could be halfway through it. I could turn, because so when you play regular power, you have to play octaves when you're doing, to be able to get a chord feel. Because if you try and play regular power chords, that thing just sounds like a hot fucking mess. It is not cool. So, I mean, I understand like when people say, oh, I want something dissonant, it's like, I don't think you understand what you're asking for, because I can give it to you and you're not going to like it. Um, but so if I want to, I can, because it works really well for single notes, for chunking. It works really well for tremolo picking and all that. Um, but if I want to throw in actual power chords, I can just stomp on the pedal and you'll have both of them. It'll still be different sounds. Like
Yeah.
if you listen in headphones to Mutilation and Repose, the whole thing, you can actually hear the different sound. So you've got left side, you've got a different actual sound profile than the right side is, even when the drop tuning isn't being used.
Cool. Well, as far as what you were saying, I'm a guitarist, and I know exactly what you're saying about the lack of polyphonic abilities for a lot of processing, harmonizing pedals to be able to track you without being like a glitchy, garbled mess. But the Digitech Whammy has come a long way in doing that, and I think there's a newer version of the drop pedal that does do chords. So if you feel like that's holding you back, maybe check out some of those options. But I also don't want to steer you anywhere because I'm really happy with what you're currently doing. And as far as that consistent interval that you settled on for the voice of the project, is that what we're going to be hearing in the next release?
Yes, to include, I was looking around on YouTube, just like, oh, okay, everybody does alternate tunings, but I didn't want to do something that was the same. So for the seven string stuff, there's a couple songs on seven string. Those are normal tuning. But for all most of the six string stuff, I stumbled on this one where I guess there was this country dude, and he would do the two middle strings. He would actually pitch up an octave. So it's the same tuning, but it's a higher octave. So I did it on this one. So now I'll be low, kind of mid low, and then it'll go, wow, that sounds like it should be way up on like the 24th fret, but I'm playing it on like the ninth or the seventh. And that
Okay.
throws a lot of different textures to it for uh, patterns almost. So instead of having to go way down here, I can keep everything in the same general area.
Nice. Are you have you ever performed this material live, or do you intend to at any point?
Um, I could if I wanted to. I'd have to remember how to do it. Like if it's something that was wanted, I would probably say I would have to sit down and I would probably just go and do an entire new release and write everything down that I'm actually doing so that I could keep track of everything that's been done. And then, yeah, like it's all playable live.
That's cool. Speaking of going with what is wanted, I did see on your Bandcamp that there's very little support, and as someone who also has very little support, I know how frustrating that can be. What are you doing to get the word out about the project? I think that due to the nature of your presentation alone and the fact that it does stand out so much, there's going to be a lot of weirdos like me out there that are going to be excited to hear something like this. So I would think that there would be people that would line up to hear this kind of thing. So are you working with anyone to get the word out?
Uh, I honestly don't know even where to start looking on that one. I've done the whole, I've tried to reach out to, YouTubers, hey, check this out, check this out, check this out, or I've tried to reach out to people. I've gone and submitted the song when there's certain YouTubers that do like, hey, we're listening to stuff. Send a super chat and we'll listen to your song.
I saw they
It's
did that for
great.
that Kurt song. I
Yeah,
found
that
that video on YouTube.
yeah, that interpretation of it was pretty cool. I mean, I like hearing how people take it. I don't care how, like, there's how I meant it, but I'd much rather hear or see how other people interpret and take the what's being represented. But a lot of the cases, I've gotten, the fuck are you doing? I'm lost. Like, you're going here, then you're going here. A lot of the times it's, dude, you got to get a real drummer. Dude, you got to get this. And then it's okay. It's to the point where what is it? I'm forgetting the name of the fucking song. Um, was actually written in regards to people and how they push stuff. Um, to where it's like saying, fuck you guys. Like there's a lot of people out there that say, we want to show off new music. We want to show off underground stuff. We want to show off this, but the same shit they keep showing and showing other people, it's all the same stuff. If it's not on a label,
Yeah,
they
exactly.
don't even push it. So um it's like I even pitched it, I like the record was done. Everything was finished on it. And I hit up a couple label things to just like, hey, what do I have to do just to get distribution? I'll send you CDs to put in as fucking stocking stuffers. I don't care if I get money for them. Just hand them out. Nah, we're good. You can send us a link and we'll see what happens. And then nothing happens. So
Yeah, it is very frustrating. I went with a couple different PR companies, and PR, at least the few that work in the metal realm, they're not ineffective. they're doing the best they can in a system that works against artists trying to do something different, because now everything is just comes down to the almighty dollar. And of course no one's going to want to take a risk on something that's really off the beaten path. uh, I mean, I'm still going to try to use PR as I move forward. I actually hired someone to do my social media because I'm that much of a dinosaur. I do not like to do it. I hate being the check my band out guy. No one has the time for that. I would love it if stuff could organically gain traction. It just doesn't happen anymore, really, with the amount of time people want to devote to listening to something. And I get that. I'm an older person. Time is very valuable now, and to be like, hey, give me 40 minutes of your time, that's a lot to ask for. But because everything is so streamlined now with the sounds you're expecting out of the metal genre, um, I don't know. I would like to think that there's people out there that are willing to give a voice to artists that are going to try something actually different. But yeah, it's really tough. It's really tough. But and I have a small channel. If you follow the channel, you know I'm hypercritical. And what you were saying about people wanting things to be a certain way, my approach is more on what aren't you doing as an artist? I know what you are doing. I could hear what you're doing, and I could understand your intent. But what aren't you doing in terms of like utilizing the voice you have inside to create something that is innate to only you? And that is why what you're doing grabbed my attention, because you have your voice and you have it pretty well established, I'd say, three records in over the course of like 2 years. So I think regardless of how you might feel, a lot of the stuff might be almost accidental with where you land on it. It really is something that is unique to yourself, where like I said before, it feels deliberate. And that deliberate aspect of the music is going to be, I think, what makes people feel the more engaged throughout the project. I showed your music. I'm trying to get the word out as much as I can. I have a small channel, as you know. I showed it to my friend in the band, Cyrictus. It's also a one person project. Made it on my top 10 of last year, and he's really into it too. He's a weirdo like me, so he he and I are both very critical when we want to hear a new band, and we're very excited about what you're doing. So um, thanks again for sharing the music. Normally, I'll get some suggestions, and due to how I approach the channel, a lot of them are valid, where there's something in it that's going to ring true to what I view as a valuable tenet as an artist. But this checked a lot more boxes for me than most of what I'm recommended. And I think it's a shame that there isn't a whole lot of support, at least on Bandcamp. I don't think I saw you on any other social media. Are you on Instagram too?
It's on it, but Instagram's the only thing.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's probably the best thing now. I don't use it really at all. The person I hired to do it for me wound up kind of not doing a whole lot, and now I'm kind of back to square one. Uh, but uh, but yeah, it's I think for people that are really trying to be challenged again with what you can do with metal, it's going to be a very exciting endeavor. And I think that that's what a lot of the newer artists just aren't understanding is that idea of the challenge. And you say that you bewilder a lot of people when they listen to what you're doing. And they're like, "What the hell am I? Why would you do that? Why?" The why is the point, you know. So when you do write these things, and you get it all out there, are you writing just, I know you say it stumbles upon what you like to hear, but is there any aspect of how this will interact with the audience that guides you?
No,
That's good. That's
not
good.
at all. Because the moment, like, it's cool and all, like, I appreciate it. If people want to listen, they're more than welcome to listen. If they don't want to listen, that's cool too. But you'll notice a lot of people, like, even big bands, like, their first couple of releases, they're really good. And then somebody goes and gets in their ear, or they start picking up more audience that's more mainstream and they want to hear a certain, it's like, metal isn't metal anymore. Metal is fucking heavy pop music,
Exactly.
you know? So, which honestly, if I don't want to think about anything and I'm just driving in the car, I don't care about. I'll turn it on and listen to whatever's on Sirius XM or whatever else. But it's it's not engaging, you know?
Right. Right. And people don't have the attention span for stuff that is, unfortunately. I'm guilty of the same thing. I was talking to my friends recently about how often I look at my phone, and it's a cancer now. Like, I used to be able to sit down and either have a conversation with my girlfriend or watch a show without any distraction, and then I'm just looking at my phone, and it's disrespectful, and it's limiting of the human experience in so many ways. Um, and I think people like you and myself, we're trying to do stuff that has a scope that necessitates human attention spans. And I would like to think that there's people out there that are ready for that. A lot of my friends that I perform music with in the past too, like, I ask them about the listening experience for them when the new record comes down the pipeline from an artist that they're excited to hear. Do they listen to the whole record? And I almost hear unanimously the answer no. And I'm like, you don't listen to the whole thing? Like, that's crazy to me, because I'm still from the mindset of getting the record, opening the album art, sitting down, reading the lyrics as I listen to the record, and it is the focus as much as the phone can be a distraction. I still love getting immersed in the experience of the album, and your record definitely does that. So, what would you say are, given that we both are critical of the modern metal climate, what are some bands or releases you think are worth your time? At
I
least modern ones.
really I don't I don't know really. I mean, honestly, I don't listen to that much. Like what I listen to is I've got nothing but Mexican music playing at work while I'm in the shop. And so there's that, or I've got some pop going on every once in a while. Somebody else's radio blares up. I want to say I've got the playlist that I've got from YouTube Music is like Children of Bodom and like Cannibal and Morbid Angel and Deicide and stuff. So like I don't really know too much. Like I'll see stuff and I'll see people reviewing new stuff, and half the time I'll go listen to it and I'll be unimpressed. But I can't really say that I really pay that much attention to new music coming through. Like m- trying to think something. I was disappointed with the only one that I was really looking forward to, I want to say, was what Lorna Shore released, because I really liked the whole trilogy thing, the Pain Remains trilogy thing. I think it had this epic 80s kind of quality to it. Whether other people like it or not, it's whatever, but it had that like 80s epic kind of almost movie, the way that the certain melody line ran through it. I was like, cool, what's this? It's like, nope. I didn't like the release because it was just a million breakdowns, and it's cool. That's where it's appropriate. That's really cool. I'm glad you guys can do it. And then there's nothing but shred. Like,
Yeah.
let's do something else. But I mean, other than that, I can't think. Yeah, honestly, like, I'm the wrong person to ask. I go to work, I come home, like, I want to say I'll get streaks of motivation where it's like, okay, I got to put something down. So a weekend where I don't have kids, I'll sit down with the guitar and I'll do stuff. But ultimately, like, it's listening to old stuff.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it looks to me like you're a older gentleman like myself. How long have you been into listening to metal?
A while since I was in my teens. So there was a good stint listening to all of it, going to shows, doing all that. There was one, I got drunk at a festival and hopped the fence with my buddy right next to a monomarth, like landed like, holy fuck, you're big. Like all that shit. But like, I want to say a lot changes when you go and change what you're doing. Like, it was metal, 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 metal the whole time. And then I went and I joined the army, and it turned into nothing but pop. Not that I'm listening to, but what you are capable of listening to, like shit. On deployment, getting ready to go out for patrol, I put Make Them Suffer on from Cannibal Corpse from the Kill album. My squad leader turns over, turn that shit off. You're trying to get pumped up to go fuck people up, and you're telling me to turn off Cannibal Corpse? He's like,
Right?
yeah, and then he turns on Dick in a Box.
Oh boy.
So I mean, it's one of those things. So that, and then getting out and working in public, or public spaces where I can't really wear headphones. It was just pop or whatever other people decided they were gonna, that was more work appropriate for listening to. So I want to say I got back into it like maybe the last 5 years.
Okay. I found you on Metal Archives. They don't even have the new record on there yet.
Oh no, they
But
don't.
it looks to me like you don't have any recorded material under any other bands or artist names. So this is your
No.
first recorded endeavor?
Uh, Official, yeah. There was a demo that was sent out in like 2002 to a bunch of labels. That's, I'm sure, in the garbage somewhere. Um, and if you look up on, I've got a couple clean videos playing guitar that are older than my oldest son. They're like 18, 19 years old on YouTube playing. I look like a crackhead. Um, uh, Playing, but like, yeah, official releases, this is the only thing that there is.
Nice. So that's quite a statement to come out of nowhere with three records right away with such a unique and developed voice. The old stuff that you had mentioned before, was that also going to be under the moniker Thermite Burns?
No, that
Okay.
one
How
was working title of Feasting Carrion.
okay.
So it was more like a homage to Cannibal Corpse.
Makes sense.
But the sound was still there, all of that, except I was recording it on an old well, it wasn't old when I was doing it, but like Acid Pro, and I had one shitty microphone that would plug into the computer, and I had it hanging there, and I was just doing room audio. I was playing drums on a synthesizer with my fingers, like there was no bass on it. So yeah, it's come a long way.
Very good. Uh, I want to go back a little bit to the moments of levity that you have on the new record, like talking about the Christopher Walken track and the bombardment that you have of the cowbell as soon as he calls for it. Obviously, moments to take away from the overall gross nature of the record and how the record makes you feel while still carrying the melodic tension that the whole record does. Are you intending to carry a bit of that levity into the next record, or are you still going to have it feel for the most part like a festering, like serious type of production?
There's not going to be, there's no levity in the next one. uh
Okay,
it's all it's all I'm fucked up and let's see what comes out sort of deal. Closest thing to levity is I've got piano in one,
okay,
and a sample from Batman the Animated Series. That's
nice.
probably the closest thing to levity, but that's probably a more fucked up song even as it is. Yeah, no, nothing on that one. I'm gonna go back to on the next one. I already had it planned out. I just haven't been able to. It wouldn't have fit for this one, and I still got to work on figuring it out. Something similar to Kurt. So like where I kind of reconstructed "You Are My Sunshine" for Kurt. Um, I'm gonna do a similar thing with the Ghost Riders in the Sky.
Oh, nice, nice. Um, so I obviously am a floundering artist that can't get heard, despite the avenues I take. But I will say the advice I was given from the PR people that I've hired, and you could take it or leave it, but just because you and I seem to have a similar thing going on, what they tell me to do is the opposite of what I always want to do. And whenever I get a release done, I just want to get it out and see how it interacts with the audience. But they always tell me, uh, give me the record. We will leak a song in a month or two, and then leak another song in a month or two. And I'm guessing that people like you and I, at that point, will be on to our next release by then. Uh, and they want to try to build up the promotion rather than to just be like, here's the record, here's the review cycle, here's the up leading to release, all of that stuff, like all of that red tape that I think really erodes away the immediacy of the artist and audience kind of dynamic. But I hate that it exists, but uh, it helped me get at least a couple of clicks. So if you'd like, I can email you some of the people I've worked with that tried to at least get a little bit of steam. I think your project really deserves more ears, and I'll do my best to get it out there. I hope people check this video out. But given how inundated the metal world is, I think whatever people like you and I can do to break through and just get our voices heard, just at the bare minimum, I'm like you, where it's just like take the record as a stocking stuffer. I don't want money. I want your time. I want your ears. I think that's the that's so much more valuable than a monetary exchange, which I just don't. That to me soils the artist audience relationship, as I've discussed in previous videos with like money grubbers like Archspire. Um, whenever money gets involved, it's just such a mess for me. I don't want to dilute what I'm trying to do by introducing finances into it. But as far as what you're planning to do with the next record, do you have a say? Are you going to go with the similar approach where you just present it on Bandcamp? Because I don't find your stuff on YouTube either. I'm a bit of a dinosaur, and that's usually my first avenue for trying to find music is on YouTube. What are you looking to do with when this record is released? How are you planning to release it?
Uh, I'll probably release one single maybe a month before, and then I'll just dump it. It's on everywhere. It's on YouTube. The only problem with it is when like you type in "thermite burns," you get a bunch of videos of people setting shit on fire,
Right. Yes,
which
I
is
did
really
encounter
cool.
that.
And the topic is there because DistroKid goes and they do it and they create a topic for it. I attempted to do a YouTube channel to try and post the shit separate from that so that I could see analytics because they're supposed to merge them. I got bored with that and I didn't even want to even bother with. I have to do what? I'm not making some stupid video. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. No, I just yeah, no. And like yeah, I've heard that or I've seen the whole 6 months to release thing. You're gonna release this, you're gonna release this. At that point, I might as well just release fucking singles and
Yeah.
not have an album. So
What
nah.
what they can do is when they will release it on a website that gets views as an exclusive content. So people like you and I that have limited voices, we now have a branch of something that is hosting our stuff, and that's cool. But I, like you, just want to just get it out there. I might get hit by a bus tomorrow. I don't have 6 months. Who fucking knows what's gonna happen? I'm already on to the next
Absolutely.
thing. But
Yep.
I before we get out of here, I wanted to talk about the minutia of the melody construction. There's if you follow the channel, I talk a lot about melody and how that's your voice. Your speed, your heaviness, your dynamics. Those are vehicles used to express your voice, which is your melody. And you, to me, have your own melodic sensibility, which automatically elevates you over a lot of what I end up hearing. And there's elements of how the guitars clash with the bass where it comes across less like a melody and more like data because of how like glitchy it feels. And I really like that. It's not something that I haven't seen explored before. Like bands like Behold the Octopus have done it. Martyr did it on the a track on Warp Zone. And how much of what you go about in constructing your melodies, what is your headspace for how you make your notes line up? Like, I know that that's a silly question, but like, what is it about your melodic style that drives you to compose the way you do?
Have I done something that sounds like this before? Yes? Okay, scrap it and do it again. That's pretty much it. It's and then it's honestly, it's like I said, it's like a flow of consciousness. So it's just wherever the riff wants to go.
Okay.
So I don't even really view it as melody, unless of course there's a if the riff itself contains a melodic aspect of it. And then that's just something that I was fucking around and I happened on it. And then I happened on what happens next. And then there's what happens next to create the melody.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, and you and I talked offline about theory knowledge and stuff like that, and I don't have that as something in my back pocket by any means, and I too just kind of I play what my brain wants to hear. So me asking that question of you was a bit silly, knowing that from my space as an artist, I I too don't have a charted end game. I do have melodic intervals that are always going to be appealing to me, that have always existed in the metal pantheon, and I could see based on what I'm hearing from you that that stuff is present as well. But I think it's good that you and I don't really have an answer to that, because that sandbox aspect of how your melodies arise from your subconsciousness, I think that that is tied more to the metal experience than so much of the snap to the grid shit and so much of the composed in Guitar Pro shit. And I'm sure that a lot of the people, the one of the main points of criticism I give to modern players is them taking their arpeggio exercise and calling that a riff. And
Yeah.
like, come on, dude. If I can predict where your melody is going to end before you get there, like, we've got a problem. Like, I don't see how you could feel authorship in that, and that authorship is something that you possess. So again, thank you for giving me an example of that, because I'm getting weary looking for it in the metal genre. And from one small fish to another, I'm excited to see that there's stuff through the rubble that's worth digging through to find. So do you have anything else you'd like to say to the audience before we wrap it up?
No, no, nope. I'm good.
Very good. Well, thanks for checking out the channel. You can find the Thermite Burns discography on Bandcamp. And as you stated, there's a presence on Instagram and where else did you say? YouTube, if you could dig through the
Uh,
people burning themselves videos.
yeah, it's everywhere. It's on Spotify, it's on Pandora, it's on Apple Music, it's on all of them.
Okay, very good. Well, thanks again for your time. I'm going to make sure that I stop recording in a way where it doesn't delete everything we have done. And thanks again.
Yeah, not a problem.
All right.